Hi, I'm Justin Barrett, president of Blueprint 1543. I'm a psychological scientist and former university professor, and this is another episode in my series on Tech Prudence. How can we be more wise or prudent about how we adopt technology, which technologies we should invite into our homes, into our schools, into our families, into our societies? Which ones are going to cause us problems down the road that maybe we want to get out in front of to begin with? And I've suggested that there are sort of 4 questions that we can ask to help spot these technologies that might prove problematic, or at least get so widespread and so deeply spread that they are hard to uproot if they do prove problematic. The first question is, are they easy to use? And by easy there, I meant easy to use because they are piggybacking on or activating our brains in particular ways, the ways that our brains naturally work, the ways that they like to process information, the ways that they like to learn. Technologies that take advantage of not just how our bodies move, but how our brains work are really easy to use. And so those could spread very widely. At least that's a risk factor for a good spread. And technology developers know this sort of thing. And they work really hard to figure out, at least a lot of times, they work really hard to figure out how new tech can fit with the way that our minds naturally work, so that there's this sort of satisfying, this is easy. For instance, they might work really hard to make sure that our operating systems on our computers or on our cell phones or whatever it is the kind of thing that even a 3-year-old could use. Not a good sign from my perspective if a 3-year-old can use it with only 15 minutes of fooling around. That suggests the engineers did a really good job making it easy to use. And as I suggested early in this series, there's some value to technologies actually being a little bit challenging, to give us a little bit of grief so that we can learn how to use them well, so we can be more skilled, so it brings out more of us. This is an idea that Andy Crouch has offered, that good technologies actually require expertise because they enhance us then, instead of taking advantage of what's already easy for us and making us in some ways lazier. But that was the first question, is just which technologies are easy because they fit the way that our brains make sense of the world causally, the causal cognition. That's part of our maturation. Second question, and the primary one I want to talk about in this episode, isn't related, and it's about how some technologies could take advantage of our natural motivations. Just as I said before with regard to the ease of use, as animals, human beings have natural drives. We have natural motivations. We have ways of existing in the world that are just part of what it means to be a human being growing up in ordinary human environments. We like drives to find food and water. We need that. We have drives to stay safe. We don't want to be at risk and get torn apart. Pretty much any animal of our sort needs those kinds of natural drives for just staying alive, right? Eating and drinking the right things, avoiding potential poisons, which includes all kinds of things that we find disgusting. That's sort of code for don't eat it. Don't consume it if it's disgusting, because it might be dangerous to you. Avoiding other kinds of dangers in the environment, whether they are lions and tigers and bears, oh my, or whether they are dangers that we can't see, like germs or other, itty bitty little stinging insects that maybe we can't see, or predators that are creeping up on us that we haven't seen yet. So they don't activate our fight, flight, or freeze system, but they maybe activate our take precaution system, because maybe there's an enemy out there, or a big predator, scary predator, or something else that is putting us at risk. So we have to patrol our boundaries or put up our defenses, our defensive barriers, make ourselves safe. Those are basic human drives, and they get worked out in characteristically human ways based on the kind of animals we are. Dogs will do these things in different ways than humans will. Bears will do it differently than humans will. Fish will do it differently than humans will. Why? Because all of these different animals have different tools for doing that kind of work. That work of, basically surviving and getting on. Of course, there are other drives. Humans are an immensely social kind of animal. And so we've got natural drives to affiliate with each other. We want to have friends. We want to hang around with family members because there's safety in those numbers, and we learn from each other. We get information socially because in some ways, for the size of an animal we don't have really impressive weapons built into our physiology, right? We don't have big teeth. We don't have big claws. We don't have particularly tough skin. We're not super fast, at least in sprinting. We're actually really good distance running animals, but that's a different issue. But what we are really good at is acquiring information from others and sharing that information and living in groups that share information that's really strategic and helpful, and that we can use to coordinate our activities, to make tools, and to do all kinds of other things. That's what makes us really special. But that means we have lots of deeply entrenched drives and ways of thinking and motivators in our natural human psychology that enable us to do just those things. Hang out with other people, learn from them, pay attention to particular skilled individuals or prestigious individuals or individuals that other people are paying attention to so that we can learn from them, cooperate with each other, try to stay in each other's good graces, try to guard our reputation so that people don't think that we're a freeloader or a cheater, try to weed out the freeloaders and cheaters who are trying to take advantage of us. There are all of these natural motivations that we have by virtue of being the kind of social animal that we are, that then characterize the way that we interact with the world around us. Technologies then that can push those motivational buttons could get an advantage for spreading broadly and going deeply. With those examples I've already given you about human drives, you're probably already thinking of some examples. So I don't want to say too much about it yet in this video, but our social media platforms, right, are automatically trying to take advantage of our desire to affiliate, to have relationships with other people, to be thought well of by other people. And that's just naturally motivating kinds of systems, okay? But other technologies, right? Technologies that help us solve practical problems that can keep us alive. So weapons are long been part of human technologies. We're attracted to those because they help keep us safe. And other kinds of defensive things. In our day and age, it might be door cameras or other kinds of things like that. Helps us patrol our boundaries, keep us safe. Those are very motivating and easy for us to then want to adopt. Pretty much anything having to do with getting us good food that's going to keep us alive and protecting us from disease and germs is a technology that we're very enthusiastic about. What? I can get cleaner water? Bring it on. A new drug that's going to get me well once I've been sick? I'm interested. Basic human drives, basic human motivations. So technologies that manage to bring in these really basic human motivations are technologies we're going to find ourselves drawn to, all else being equal. That's the second question then. Does a new technology do that? So first question to ask of a new technology, whether we should be concerned that it might spread too fast. Well, before it's been checked out, right? Spread too fast before it's been checked out. First question was, is it going to be really easy to use because of various properties of our human minds and our bodies and everything else? But is it going to be easy? Second, are we going to have natural motivation across cultures, across individual differences to want to use those types of things? That's the second question to ask ourselves of a new technology, to start identifying, is that going to be a technology that stands a strong likelihood of spreading widely and deeply into our societies? That's enough for this episode. In the next episode, I'll come to my third question, which is whether a technology is attention grabbing in a way that isn't just the same as being motivated. Until next time, let's try to be tech prudent. Thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, and leave comments if you desire. Thank you very much.